Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. Bruno Guimarães is going to be a hot topic for this transfer window, a Manchester City target, and what a player he is. Let's get that out of the way first of all, because he is a quality player, but there is one major flaw to his game that nobody seems to be talking about. A lot of these analytical approaches looking at Bruno Guimarães are all talking about the positives to his game, but there are certain areas of one particular area of his game that is incredibly weak and does not suit Manchester City in the slightest. In particular, a Pep Guardiola side, it does not suit. So let's get into it first of all. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to compare him to a little bit of what we've already got, a little bit of what we once had, and a little bit of what we are also targeting. So 5 other players I'm going to compare Guimarães to, which is Rodri, Kovacic, Gundogan, João Neves, and Joshua Kimmich. Neves and Kimmich are the most likely 2 players that we're being linked to that are along the same lines as Bruno Guimarães. Can they play a number 6? Can they play as a number 8? Kimmich can obviously play as a right back as well, so he's got that versatility. But along the same lines, that area of the pitch, as well as Gundogan, from obviously lots of players being linked to him in terms of likened to him. Can we replace Gundogan? That was the question of last season. Technically we didn't, but trophy-wise we did all right. Premier League in the bag, so not bad at all. Kovacic as well as Rodri, of course, currently at Manchester City. And I'm going to show you last season's statistics into quite some detail, but there is one area of his game that you'll have to stick around till the end of the video to find out this area of the game that Bruno Guimarães is massively flawed on. It's a huge problem to his game, and it's going to be a bit, if we do sign Guimarães, Pep's got his work cut out for him because he has to educate him in this area of the game. So let's start with the minutes played, which gives you the indication of obviously minutes played. Minutes played. But I don't think people apply that stat, as basic as it is, minutes played, to these comparisons as often as they should do, because minutes played indicates that the players they've got more opportunity to get better stats because they've been on the pitch for longer. But as you can see, Bruno Guimarães is top of the pile in that one. Goals and assists, brilliant from Bruno Guimarães. Absolutely fantastic. Only Rodri beats him in that department, and he even beats Gundogan. So I know there's a lot of people that sign him up straight away, without really thinking about it, because Guimarães has got ends to his game that are fantastic. The defensive end of his game and the goal creation, chance creation side of his game, fantastic from Bruno Guimarães. Really, really good. But it's the in-between that I'm a little bit more concerned about. So brilliant from Bruno Guimarães that he's got that many goals and assists to his name. Still, not quite as good as Rodri, but who is? That's going to be a common theme throughout. Who is as good as Rodri? Nobody. Right, pass completion. Bottom of the pile this time round. This is the area of his game that I'm a little bit more concerned about, but very simple side of his game. These are the basic stats right now. Pass completion, 83.9 for Bruno Guimarães compared to Rodri's 92. Kovacic is 94, Gundogan 86, Neves 88, Kimmich 86, all higher than Bruno Guimarães. Now we're looking into the progressive passing distance in yards, which gives you a bit of a spectrum of what their passing style is. How many yards are they passing the ball towards the opponent's goal effectively? Positive passes, that's the way to think about it. Bruno Guimarães is doing okay in that regard as well. Third, not quite as good as Joshua Kimmich. Nowhere near as good as Rodri. And I mean, Rodri, mate, yeah, absolutely sensational. This video should just be called Rodri's Bloody Brilliant. That's what it should be called, because that's all this does in this video is highlight how unbelievably good Rodri is. But yeah, Bruno Guimarães with 9,300 minutes to his name, just ahead of Gundogan. Not minutes, sorry, progressive passing distance in yards. And Joshua Kimmich as well, just behind him, who's got 10,000, which is really good. Passes into the penalty area, really good from Guimarães. A real indication of where he played most of his football, camped on the edge of the opposition's box in that almost a number 10 role. Now that's the question in this whole video. Get in the comments below and let me know where you want, if we were to sign Bruno Guimarães, where you want him to play. Do you want him to play alongside Rodri? He can do that, but that's the area of the pitch that concerns me most. Is he going to be a number 10, playing in front of Rodri, where Foden and De Bruyne? I mean, if we're signing him for that role, there are players out there that we should be targeting that I'm not even bringing into this video, the likes of Florian Wirtz, Musiala. I can't see City signing Bruno Guimarães to play as a number 10 and not using him as the number 6 hybrid number 8 that he actually is. Now, I can't see City taking that approach at all without considering the likes of Florian Wirtz and Musiala, for example. But really good from that regard as well. Passes into the penalty area, breaking the opposition back line. 70, above everybody else in the list. Really good from Bruno Guimarães. Passes into the final third. Not quite as good, nowhere near as good as Rodri. Again, unbelievable from Rodri. But again, that's more of an indication. If you're not in the final, if you are already in the final third, how do you pass into the final third? Clearly, that's where Bruno Guimarães has been playing a lot of his football this season, is in the mid-third and the final third. Not so much in the defensive third this season, which is why he's got more passes into the penalty area than anyone else, but not quite as much passes into the final third as the likes of Rodri. And Kovacic with 120 passes into the final third, and don't forget the minutes that he's played, like over 1,000, just over 1,000 minutes to his name compared to Bruno's 3,000 minutes, which is really good from Kovacic. Gundogan pretty close, Neves pretty close, Kimmich pretty close, so pretty similar in that regard. Goal creating actions, again, really good from Bruno Guimarães. 19 goal creating actions from him. Still, not quite Rodri. But yeah, that theme is going to continue throughout. Kovacic, nowhere near. That's not his game. That's not why we signed him. The area of his game is protecting that ball, receiving the ball from the back line. And I love that about Kovacic. He keeps the ball ticking. He complemented Rodri really well. Will Bruno? We'll wait and see to find out. Gundogan, not bad at all. Neves, pretty low. Kimmich. The one factor you're going to have to consider with João Neves in this is his age, because, I mean, he's still a baby. You know, he's a kid compared to the rest of the players on this list. Your Gundogan, your Kovacic, your Kimmich, all experienced heads. Gundogan's 32, Kovacic 29, Kimmich 29, Rodri's 26, Bruno, I think he might be 27 now. Guimarães is 26. João Neves is a baby, do you know? So he's got a lot of growing to do, which is kind of harsh to compare him to the likes of these experienced heads. But he is one of the main targets that we're being linked with, as are United. Don't forget that. Now, the defensive side of the game, tackles and interceptions. Bruno Guimarães, fantastic. The other end of the game that he's absolutely brilliant at. So you've got your goal creation and you've got your defensive actions absolutely nailed to a T. Better than Rodri in this regard, which is not easy doing. And I mean, there you go. So I'm hearing you already. Or why wouldn't we sign this guy? He's got goals to his name. He's got assists to his name. He's got the defensive side of the game nailed down. This is the side of the game that a lot of people analytically take the approach and they go for the glorified stats without looking at what Pep Guardiola does. What Pep Guardiola looks at is what most managers don't look at in the build-up style of the game. And the reason why Pep is the best manager in the world, because he looks at how to create the goal-scoring opportunities, how to prevent a side from having to complete these defensive actions. Is that because Newcastle are sloppy? Barcelona, one of the best in their league. City, the best in their league. So they aren't required to do as many defensive actions, because they're in better sides that keep the ball more predominantly. With Newcastle averaging 52% possession of the ball this season, you're expected to do some defending. And Bruno Guimarães has done that reasonably well, very well indeed. So the numbers are good, but you've got to put some context in there as well. Right, now we're into the problem side of the game. Now this is the area of the game that concerns me most. Dispossessed 70 times, Bruno Guimarães. That is more than double than the worst offender on this list, which is Rodri, of all people. Now, why is Rodri the worst offender on this list, outside of Bruno Guimarães, of course? And Kovacic, why has he got so many high number of dispossessions when his minutes are so low? Because of the style of the football that we play. Because of the risk and reward. It's a high-risk approach that we play, with goalkeeping being incredibly valuable. Ederson's distribution is so important in the way we build up. It's so risky to play those little short passes, breaking the lines and playing out from the back, as it's so commonly known as. This is why Rodri and Kovacic's numbers are so high. Barcelona, same again, high numbers. For Gundogan being dispossessed, they play out from the back. But for Guimarães to be dispossessed more than double the amount of Rodri, Kovacic and Gundogan in a side that don't play high-risk football, that's just out-and-out sloppiness. And if you don't believe me, that's why that's sloppiness. Miscontrols of 23-24 last season. Guimarães, Again, top of the pile, comfortably top of the pile, just out and out sloppiness to his game, and it's an area of the game. I actually found out that we were targeting Bruno Guimarães live during a watch-along, and I can't remember the specific watch-along, but I remember my reaction was, I remember my eyes, the eye test of Bruno Guimarães. I was never convinced that we should absolutely be targeting him. Now, these are the sort of things that potentially could be coached out of him. You could argue you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You could argue that maybe Pep Guardiola would teach him the way to position your body. That's one of the first things you learn as a midfielder when Pep Guardiola signs you, is which way to angle your body to receive the ball, to be able to play out from the back. You obviously do not play out from the back with your back facing goal, and that's exactly why Calvin Phillips never got into this Manchester City side, because he just could not learn how to receive the ball with his back to the opposition goal, facing Ederson, in other words, receiving the ball from the goalkeeper or from the centre-back or from the full-back in dangerous positions where one sloppy touch, a misplaced touch, gone. Opposition in on goal. Newcastle don't even play like that. That's the concerning thing about this statistic, is Newcastle don't play out from the back at all. In fact, I can prove that to you right now. If you have a quick look at the average goalkeeping passing length for the top 10 passing length in the Premier League of last season, Luton, Bournemouth, Everton, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, West Ham and Newcastle, 7th longest passes from the goalkeeper, averaging at 36.3 yards passing length from their goalkeeper. That's an indication that they don't try to play. Newcastle's style is tend to be Longstaff, who drops deep. He's the one who's more trusted to come and collect that ball. Or go to Trippier, who's got a better touch than the majority of the back line in that Newcastle defence, and a better distribution as well, and tends to go long looking for Joel Linton, for example. That's the way Newcastle play. And they're quite mixed. They go sometimes short, sometimes long. But the fact that their average goalkeeping passing length is so high, Manchester City are not going to play like that. So the types of passes that Bruno Guimarães is going to receive are going to be short. He's going to be asked to control the ball in dangerous positions. Now, we all remember why Calvin Phillips did not make it at Manchester City, because of his inability to receive the ball with his back to the opposition goal. You all saw the West Ham debut. Within 4 minutes of his West Ham debut, he was asked to do something he's not comfortable doing, facing his own goal. Solanke makes it 1-0 in 4 minutes into Calvin Phillips' debut. I felt sorry for the guy. I feel for him. But Bruno Guimarães is going to have to learn that side of the game. Now, let's not pretend I haven't shown you the attacking side of his game. The goals and assists, fantastic. The defensive statistics, fantastic. What a player he is. But the one area of his game is a pivotal, vital, monumentally important to Manchester City, is that ability to receive the ball from the back line. It's a high-risk manoeuvre for City. And with the transfer target reportedly being, the release clause being at 100 million. Do you want to pay 100 million for a risk like this? I can't see City paying 100 million for anyone, regardless of whether they're worth it or not, because of the profit and sustainability rules and regulations that are going on right now. I just can't see it. But there is an alarming side to Bruno Guimarães' game that nobody seems to be talking about, and nobody seems to want to highlight, and I think it's irresponsible to not highlight and bring it to your attention, because if you are going to go for the analytical approach and let people know what is fantastic about his game, because there are fantastic things about his game, you got to look at both sides to it. And this is an area of his game that is hugely concerning to me. And I like to think I've highlighted it to you, that this is an area of his game that Pep will have to pull him into the training ground and say, you have to fix this. You have to fix this or you can't play. Or will Pep take the risk? Will he go for someone that he could coach? Someone who's younger, who's more adaptable to these situations, in João Neves, potentially. Joshua Kimmich, who'll be much cheaper. He won't have to pay anywhere near that price. His contract ends in 2025. A much less risky approach than Bruno Guimarães, but nobody's offering the goal threat apart from Rodri. I mean, again, Rodri's an unfair comparison because he's just godly, isn't he? He's just ridiculous, Rodri. But no one is quite as good at Bruno Guimarães at the goal creation side of things on this list. He's an absolutely fantastic player. There's no denying that. But that one area of his game, does it concern you? Get in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silver.